Yes, a pleasant good evening to you, Ms. Hadad. You're live here with me on Gayelle TV, Tigo, Facebook, and YouTube on the Observer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good night to you and all of your listeners.
Thank you so much. You're very outspoken, and I love you for that. You don't hold back.
Well, you might be one of the few people that love me for that.
I know. Yeah. Now, the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, recently said that Tobago's development continues to be stymied by virtue of the fact that the THA really and truly do not have the kind of autonomy to make the moves that they want to make. Now, my problem with this, Ms. Hadad, is that why is this being kept such a secret? If you're not getting your allocations, if you are not getting resources, if you're not getting what it takes to serve the people of Tobago, why then is the Chief Secretary not coming out and making these challenges public?
Well, I am not sure as to why he would be taking that approach or that direction, because there's a law that governs what takes place between Trinidad and Tobago and the budget, and there is a stipulated allocation that belongs to Tobago to run the island. There are budget presentations done every year in terms of recurrent expenditure, capital expenditure, and that is presented. They never get what they ask for, that is the truth. But at the end of the day, we have had authorities in the past work with less and they've delivered more. So confusing enough would be, why are we still having this conversation about why we can't deliver because we don't have autonomy? That's a conversation. It's a tagline. It's a nice promo. But what is autonomy? They've done a lot of things without autonomy or without even following procedure. Not so?
Yeah.
They've put up a stage in the sea without EMA. We have other things happening, I understand, in terms of EMA, stopping the road that is being built somewhere at the back of the estate, Friendship Estate,
Right.
because there are no EMA approvals. So what does autonomy going to do for us following procedures? Is it that we are going to have a lawless island?
Well, he did add, of course, that what his administration was seeking was for Tobago to decide on its social, cultural, socio-economic needs and its development trajectory. You know, that's what he said. So
we are still part of a twin island state when last we checked. And if that is the case, the country Trinidad and Tobago really needs to know where it's going as a country, and Tobago has to play its part. So yes, Trinidad may be the industrial aspect of it or whatever. Tobago may be the tourism aspect of it, whatever that history has about it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the leadership of the island still has a role to play in terms of what the country and the country's direction is. So we can't, other than that, you're talking secession.
yeah, he's saying he's not one for that. He doesn't. He's not encouraging that. That's
Well,
not
we can't speak secession because secession speaks of money.
right.
And clearly we don't have money and we are dependent on a check from Trinidad. So it's a convenient conversation. Autonomy seems to be a popular word, but you kind of have to be able to make your money to be your own man.
Well, of course, definitely, I agree with you on that.
Okay, so if we have all these conversations of autonomy, why isn't it that they have not pushed for whatever document has been sitting there for the longest while to carry it forward for autonomy?
But even getting back to how this whole thing came about, I mean, a fresh mandate was given, a clear-cut mandate that this is how the Tobagonians wanted to be governed by this new team. Now, one could understand the newness of office is something that would affect many people. All right, that's all good and well. But when do you get down to business? Where is it that you weren't able to, for whatever reason, read the fine print before taking office and not understanding your role and your purpose and exactly what was needed to do the job? Because you seem to have had all the answers on the campaign trail. But now the language itself and the narrative seems so different. And of course, the people of Tobago is asking, where do we really go from here?
Well, he seems to have shown up to be the typical politician who has the perfect language on the podiums for campaigning. but when they get into office, the tunes are different, the songs are different, and the lyrics are different. Let us understand that it's 18 months into their leadership or their winning, and the island is in probably a worse position than it was. There is a lot of big space, big gaping holes as to where we are going, and we do have situations where a number of the business community have found themselves in challenging times with the bank coming out of COVID. And my latest understanding is that the banks are of the view that Tobago is high risk for them to actually support the business community in a material way.
But let me ask you, has there been any consultation with the THA? Has Mr. Farley made himself accessible to understand the importance of sitting down with members of the business community, mapping out this plan that he wants, this trajectory as far as where Tobago is going to go socio-economically or socially cultural, as he may put it? Does he even understand that?
I would not be in a position to answer what would have transpired in the last couple of weeks, although I would have been privy to some information. Whilst I was head of the chamber, I would have had a few meetings with him, but he never met the chamber as an organization during my tenure. And none of the things that were on the table, even for the budget that would have been discussed in those rooms, none of them have been brought to fruition, although the intention and the claim at the time was that that was his goal. So a year later into it, 6 months, you get your feet a little bit wet, but a year later into it, there's been no action. So we are not sure what, from my perspective, what the direction is. I don't know whether the business community is jumping up and screaming as in happy, or jumping up and screaming because they are poor. And the bank's language now is that anything put before them is either high risk, or the business community seems very optimistic. I would like to think that we need to stay optimistic because we need to stay in hope.
Yeah, and I mean, there are folks who are saying that a lot was said on the campaign trail as far as corruption allegations and what have you, but I mean, there's a time for that. And now looking at it, you are there at the helm of the affairs of the people of Tobago, and they want to know exactly what is the next move. People are talking about unemployment. They're talking about, for example, I believe it was Orville London who took the Tongan country's power and sent it back to central government. So people are saying, then how do we get approvals in Tobago? Who's going to sign off on it? And I think after a while, you do have a team of people where you must request from them what's going on in your department and how are you governing and managing the affairs that you were put there to do.
Mikey, let me say, there's so many other stories on the ground that it is even more distressing to even think of them. Not that I will take the privilege to say them on your program, because,
I understand.
But there's so many stories that are very frightening in terms of the behavior of the office, of the entire team, and we are really going nowhere. The latest, of course, I think would have been what has come out on social media, some clip or whatever, of how, right. So that in itself has its own questions and exclamation marks behind it. Where are we going if this is the way we are intent on treating with leadership in the country? And I have to say in the country because it's not that we have a better space or place in terms of how things are handled on the other side of the water. So I think Trinidad and Tobago needs a lot of prayers. You know, I said Tobago needed a bush fire the other day and it ended up all over the place. But people need to understand where I'm coming from. We need to hold it together and we need to stand up for some level of ethics and morals because we seem to be heading down a slippery road. Headed down the slippery road.
And from your perspective, what is the feeling like if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as people who are fed up, totally fed up, simply...
Is 0 the worst?
Yeah, 0 is the worst.
I would probably say that people are at a 3.
Wow. After 18 months.
Yeah, I would say people are at a 3.
After so many promises. And let me ask you quickly, I mean, you would have had these discussions before. We've had this talk before. You mentioned many things that were even low-hanging fruits, things that could have been implemented to get things started as far as domestic tourism, as far as simple things as...
well, we can't even have Carl give you the regular schedule as yet. As I speak to you today, next week around this time would have been the first day that we have no boat bringing cargo over for a 2-week period for dry docking.
Wow.
So the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Yeah, I see. I had a flight that was booked, I mean, paid for last Tuesday. When I get there, I was bumped off, and they tell you, go in the atrium and look up at some screen, and if your name appears, then you can actually be qualified for standby. And I was like, when was this put in place? But that really says a lot. I mean, it's as if people are saying, listen, whatever happened, whatever goes, we're just doing it. And that is in itself is very frightening.
We are not in a good place. I want to say that there are people who are still fighting and struggling to hold on to whatever power there is. But I don't know that the people on the ground are happy. You have a problem for jobs. There is very little activity. There is a lull. And more importantly, after 2 years of COVID, where you had the financial institutions that did not have any sympathy either for interest and so moratoriums came with a big backlash, loss of revenue, and a big hole. There's no new financial instrument created to help people come out of it. And Mr. Gustin has promised that he was going to deliver one, which he has not done. And of course, the one in Trinidad really doesn't do the trick. So it seems to be quite, I don't know, what would be that word? The island still seems to be on pause. But in spite of all of it, there's faith, hope, and charity. Yeah. People are in charity now, so maybe they have to have faith. Go through their faith having hope.
Do you think that anything could be salvaged, or his time basically has expired?
Well, I actually think that the God factor will always play a part, and the right moments will come, and it will all evolve for the better.
Yeah.
In light of what's going on, the end result will be what we need as a people.
Closing comments, go right ahead.
Well, I want to just still appeal to the leadership that sits in the chair right now and ask them to please declare their position in terms of how they're moving forward in a more transparent way and really start to deliver, because they do have people in some sort of pause mode, or, you're just like in your bed waiting for the doctor to see you.
Yeah, you're in limbo.
Yeah, in limbo, so they need to treat with it.
All right. I want to thank you so much for taking time out. I hope
the
next time we talk, I hope things are a lot better on this side.
I so hope so too. Have a good night.
All the best to you and the family. Thank you so much.